don't leave. No, I haven't turned this into a cooking channel. Do not adjust your sets. Those clips were shot with the Lumix GM1 and GM5, those tiny micro four thirds cameras that everyone wants to get their hands on. But it's time to say goodbye to my favorite tiny cameras. Now, I bought this orange GM1 when I was on a holiday in Palm Springs, and I bought this GM5 a couple of years later, and it was the last brand new GM5 in Canada. I've loved using both of these cameras, and it is going to be hard to say goodbye to them. So why get rid of them? Firstly, I need to thank Emily Lowry from Micro Four Nerds for the uptick in value of tiny cameras. These cameras have become coveted on the resale market due to their size-quality ratio. I can make more money selling them than I can making YouTube videos about them. So they're going. You're going to have to watch until the end to see how much I did get for them, and I will tell you at the end of this video. But right now, I still have both of them. Now, I don't want the hassle of selling private. It's just not my thing, unless I know the person I'm selling to. eBay, also not my thing. But this week, KEH is in Calgary, and they have an event at the camera store. So I'm going to see what they'll give me for these two beautiful babies. KEH is the only large camera buying company that comes to Canada. MPB doesn't. Now, I'm not dumping Lumix. On the contrary, I'm fully committed to the brand and the gear. I just don't use these anymore. Instead, I use my two G100s for my everyday carry as well as my YouTube videos. And in fact, my second G100 is shooting this video now. But before I sell them, I'm going to give you a tour of the cameras, the camera bodies, the menu systems, as well as show you some sample photos and videos so that you can decide for yourself if buying these small cameras at inflated prices are for you, or if something else is more suitable. Okay, some of the good and bad things about the cameras. Now, they are very similar in size and look. They are tiny. You can wear them like a piece of jewelry. They both have 16 megapixel micro four thirds sensors. They both have really good image quality. The kit lens that comes with them is also very good and also keeps the whole package small and light. Now, this lens has been stuck on my small micro four thirds cameras over the past 10 years, and it's also on the G100 cameras. Some of the not so great things is that they are actually too small for most people's hands. The buttons and dials are almost too difficult to operate, especially in the cold. I think there are better options out there now for a similar price, like the G100. The GM1 was released in October 2013. The GM5 came out in September 2014. Okay, let's have a look at some photos and videos that I've shot with both these cameras over the last 10 years or so, including some that I shot just the other day. Now, as far as operating these cameras, it can be a little bit tricky, especially if you, for example, want to shoot in manual mode. So let's start both of these up. You can see here I'm shooting in manual mode. So if you want to change your f-stops and shutter speeds, which are shown down here, on this particular camera, on the GM1, you need to push this plus minus button, your exposure compensation button. And you can see it says F, but that actually means if you want to change it to f-stops, you have to push up. So push up for shutter. So let's change the shutter speed. Okay, so we've gone down to say 200. Want to change the f-stops. Click it again and you can change those. Now, you need to know that this dial here is so touchy that if you accidentally push it on either of the sides, you will get, you will get into a different menu. So just be mindful of that. What about the GM5? Runs a little bit similarly, except this dial here, which might be a little hard to see on the video, but this dial here is how you change from f-stops to shutter speeds when you're in manual mode. So you do press it, it's a spring loaded, and then you can rotate it. So there we go. And I depress it again, and I'm going to get shutter speeds. So you can imagine that on a cold day, these buttons and dials would be very tricky to operate. And you can see here the image area of each of these screens. The GM1 has a lot more real estate than the GM5, but that's due to the viewfinder and the external controls on the top of the screen. So basically the backs of the cameras are physically the same size, but the visual area is different. Okay, let's have a quick look at the menus of each of these. They are similar, but not identical to each other. You can see on the first page here, the second setting right here is filter settings, because both of these cameras actually have funky filters that you can set for your picture styles. It's kind of like the art filters. So the photo styles are the usual Lumix photo styles: vivid, natural, monochrome, scenery, portrait, custom. Not as many as the newer cameras, but still you've got the usual suspects in there. And of course you can alter them as well. You can customize each of those settings. I won't go into every setting to this extent. Let's go on to page 2. Of course, picture size, aspect ratio, you can change that. Picture size, small, medium, large. Largest, of course, being 16 megapixel on both of these. Quality, RAW or JPEG, or just JPEG or just RAW. Keep in mind, on the GM1, auto ISO does not work if you are in manual mode. So let's go down to sensitivity so I can prove that to you. So right now it lets me go auto up to 25/600, and I'm on shutter priority mode. So let's just show you there, shutter priority. I'm going to go to manual mode. And I'm going to go back to the ISO, and you can see that auto is no longer available. On the GM5, the ISO has its own button on the back of the camera. I'm in manual mode. Let me just show you. I'm in manual exposure mode, and auto ISO is available. It also has the same range up to 25/600. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. Also, when you're shooting in manual video, you have to also set up your ISO manually. ISO has auto in manual video mode on the GM5. Get back into the menus. So recording format in terms of video for the GM1 is AV-CHD and MP4. I like to shoot in MP4. In terms of quality, the max you can get is 1080p at 30p, but in AV-CHD I think you can get 60i. So let's just go back to here, go down to here. Recording quality is the maximum of 1080p, 30p, 24p, and 60p, so AV-CHD Lite. So, but that's a smaller image area, right? It's 1280, so 720p here. So it looks slightly better quality, but I'm no expert on video, so don't quote me on that. But like I said, I shoot in MP4. Again, AVC HD and MP4. On the MP4 side, it goes up to 1080p at 60p. So the quality is slightly better on the GM5. As far as AVC HD goes, the max is the same. Oh, it's progressive, 60p, and the other one is 60 interlaced. So again, slightly more image quality in video mode as well. Burst rates, you can't use super high burst rates when shooting with RAW files or RAW plus JPEG. If you want to get the super high burst rate, you have to shoot in JPEG only. Let's see what else we got here. Auto bracketing is the same, highlight and shadow. They both have eye dynamic and eye resolution, multi-exposure mode. And some of these things can't happen unless you're in intelligent auto. In case you're wondering, stop motion animation, also very fun to play with, and time lapse for both of them. And one thing they both have, which I do love, is they have a quick menu. So if you push the trash button on each of them, you can get into your quick menu, and that is a fast way to get into the settings so that you don't have to menu dive. And you just use the keypad at the back to get through those. And both of them have the video button, and they both have custom menu setups. So you can choose some settings and put them in a custom menu for quick access so you don't have to menu dive. You can set function buttons on each of the cameras. So in terms of features, both cameras have quite a lot of great features that you get on your larger Lumix cameras as well. But both of them shoot in intelligent auto mode. And to keep things simple, sometimes that's all I do, especially when I'm on photo walks. Now both have a flash. The GM1 flash is built in. The GM5 has an external flash and hot shoe. So you're probably wondering, what's the end of this story? So I went to the KEH camera buying event at the camera store, and I was waiting in line, and there was a lot of people in the lineup. And while I was there, Chris Nichols and Jordan Drake from Petapixel walked in. Now those guys used to both work at the camera store, and you might remember them from the camera store TV. And I used to teach with Chris, so I've known him for quite a while. Anyway, I mentioned to him that I was selling my GM1 and GM5, and he's like, "You're selling your GM5? I'll buy it." I'm like, "Really? You'll buy it?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I showed him the goods, we negotiated a price, and he dropped an e-transfer into my bank account while I was standing in the lineup. So a couple hours passed by, I finally got to the front of the line, and I was chatting with the KEH sales rep, or the buyer. He looked over my nice orange GM1, offered me a price, and I said, "Yep, I'll take it." So off I went. I sold both the cameras that day. So what did I get? Well, Chris gave me 500 Canadian for the GM5, and I got $425 US for the orange GM1. And in total, that was just under 1,100 Canadian dollars for the two cameras. Now, I'm really happy with that because, to be honest, those cameras have been sitting in a drawer for probably 3 or 4 years and haven't even been touched. I'm really happy, and I'm extra happy that Chris got my GM5, because I don't know about you, but when I sell my gear to somebody, I'm really pleased if it's going to somebody that I know, and it's going to somebody that I know who will love it as much as I did. So yay. Now, if Chris decides he doesn't want that camera anymore, guess what? He can sell it to KEH and probably make a couple $100. So did I make a huge mistake in selling my tiny cameras? Let me know in the comments below. And by the way, if you like this lighting and you want to learn how I did it, you can watch this video next.